Welcome back to another Mayor's Hour. Jack, cheers.
Cheers.
We're going to get to do some we've had a great run of good shows. We get to do some of our favorite things. We get to drink.
Oh yeah, we've done beers.
On the job, during the middle of the day.
How true, I hadn't thought about that.
We get to experience the foodie culture that is emerging here in Tampa and celebrate.
That's getting tremendous.
Oh yeah, that is really good stuff. We've been to the craft beer producers, and now we're at another emerging cluster for the Tampa Bay area, and for Tampa specifically. It is our roasters and our coffee shops that are producing some amazing coffee that once again is putting us on the map. And we're drinking some of it. We're here at Buddy Brew, which started here on Kennedy Boulevard at Kennedy in Albany. I used to have a house right down the street. And I have watched these two entrepreneurs, it's a husband and wife team, take this and grow it to award-winning status, and they are now expanding, and we're going to hear from them in just a little bit. But this is great coffee. It's only my 8th cup today.
Well, I'm only down to 13 or 14 at this point, but I started a hair before you.
Yeah, you get up at 3 o'clock. So.
But this is the best one I've had today, I'll guarantee you that.
This is good.
Now, Susan made this for me, so this is special.
Yeah, no, this is great. And a quick shout out to County Commissioner Mark Sharp, who I think lives here. I think when he may be in this roaster for all I know, but I know Mark spends a lot of time here, and to his credit, has helped put Buddy Brew on the map. I mean, he did his radio show from here, and he has a lot of his political meetings. So Mark, this one's for you.
There you go. Let's drink up.
All right. All right, we'll be right back with Susan Ward, one of the owners, and you're going to get to see an amazing transformation of what was a rather rundown retail strip on Kennedy Boulevard, and get to drink some more good coffee. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You can't beat that.
Yeah, you're making me proud. That's a good thing. All right. Let's fight to the death, all right? All right. 2, 3. Jackets will fully inflate and you're ready to enter the water. Jack, did I tell you how good this coffee was?
Oh, this is great. Mine's cup's almost empty here, but I've still got a little design.
I know. How do you do it? When my wife makes my cup, it doesn't,
I don't have one here, but my wife she loves this place. Came here and together, and she got my coffee for me. And of course, I'm starting to drink, and she says, "Wait, did you look at the design?" I thought, no, I guess I didn't. Just a little white splotch there to me, but it's a design.
Well, you're an old Army guy. You're used to drinking out of a nasty
tin cup or something, yeah.
Well, we are here with one of the owners, the husband and wife team, the Wards. Susan, welcome to the Mayor's Hour.
Thank you.
It's good to see you. I appreciate you wearing Penn State blue and white.
All right.
Oh, brother.
But tell us where we are. Tell us what this machine is. Tell us everything we need to know about coffee.
So we are here at the original Buddy Brew Coffee Roastery, and it looks a little different today than it did yesterday, because last night we did a major demolition in here and expanded over to our new cafe. But this is where it all started. So we opened this shop 4 years ago, April 2010, and we do all of our roasting right here on this roaster.
So this is a roaster. This is where the beans, these bags of beans, this.
Yes, so those are the green beans. And this is how we get them actually from the individual countries that we buy them from. This particular one is from Colombia. And so they come to us like this, and then we do all the roasting in this machine. And although this looks very old world, it's really high tech in there. So there's infrared burners, and there's a lot of things that we can control with the heat and the airflow to create a beautiful coffee bean.
I'm going to go back to the start. How did you decide to get into this business? I mean, what brought it about? Although the coffee business is a booming one now.
It is.
But how did you and your husband decide to do that? And then I got to find out where the name Buddy Brew came from.
All right. Well, we like to say jokingly, this business started by accident. We never really meant to turn it into a business, but we're so thankful that we did. It really started out of our own love of coffee and our own pursuit of better and better coffee. So Dave and I, in our travels around this country, experienced great coffee cultures and really wonderful, interesting coffee in other places, but that wasn't really happening yet here in Tampa. So we started exploring that more and more, and eventually started home roasting our own beans.
In your house?
In our house originally, until we set off the smoke alarms. And then we moved it to the garage. But that's where the business started, in our garage. So we really discovered at that point that when you roast fresh beans, freshly roasted coffee beans, it's a completely different experience than anything else you can have. So that's really where the passion started, and then it started as an online business, and then we moved it. This roaster actually was originally installed in our garage, and then we moved it here and opened the coffee bar.
Now, do you still have the online portion of the business?
We do.
And how do you buy your beans? I mean, you know, we've traveled all over South America and Central America. What are the differences between Colombian versus Honduran? I mean, is it all about the smell, the taste, the bitterness?
Yeah, it really is. It's interesting. It depends on the soil and the altitude and the varietal of coffee. It's a lot like wine. How that coffee is grown, it grows, kind of a lesser known fact about coffee is that it grows in a cherry on a tree. So it's all how that farmer grows that coffee that really is the beginning of what that coffee is going to taste like. And then the next step is what we do in the roasting process to bring out those flavors.
And is there different techniques for different beans?
Yes, that's a good question. That's good.
I thought it all came in a bag.
You know your stuff.
He knows his stuff. There are. So what we do is we take each individual single origin coffee that we bring in, and we do a lot of roasting and then cupping to really taste the coffee over and over again at different roast profiles until we finally feel like we've found the magic for that particular bean, and then we create a roast profile for it, and we roast that particular coffee that way every single time.
Wow.
Now, being the dummy that I am, I know all the different kinds of coffees, the lattes, the mochas, and all that. And like I say, I don't even know what I drink because my wife buys it for me when I do. I drink bad coffee at the radio station, that's it. But,
that would be true.
Yes.
We're going to bring you some coffee.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
that sounds good. But does it all start with the same kind in there, and then the things you add to it make it the different things like lattes and mochas and that kind of thing, or what?
That's a good question. You start with espresso, and so we actually use an espresso blend of a couple different beans to create that espresso that gives it that really good crema and the boldness and the smoothness to create the espresso shot. And then from there, we like to say all the drinks are really espresso and espresso with milk, and it's different combinations and what you do with that milk that make it either a latte or a cappuccino or cortado.
How did you begin? What were you doing before you got into the coffee business? I mean, you obviously had this love of coffee and everything, but what did you give up to get into this?
So I was actually in the pharmaceutical industry. I was a district manager for a pharmaceutical company, and Dave was in real estate. And at the time that he left and we started Buddy Brew, he was in commercial real estate, the investment side. Huh. And that business kind of slowed down, and the coffee business started booming, so it was kind of a natural transition.
And you came to really, I would say, here, not being next to a shopping center or in a shopping center or something, kind of a risky place. I mean, taking a chance in this particular location. How did that come about?
Yeah, you know, you have a good point, because this was kind of on the edge. And we had looked and looked for the right place that we might put our roaster, and really our plan was to really develop a wholesale business to sell to other coffee shops and other restaurants and grocery stores, which we're doing as well. But our plan was to really primarily do that. So we're really looking for the right zoning and not as much thinking of a retail store. but we just happened to find this spot that just had everything we needed, and it just happened to be on Kennedy with this great retail storefront. So kind of secondarily, we decided let's serve some coffee, and we're so glad we did. That piece of it, the retail side of it, took off more than we could have ever imagined.
Started. Everybody's having meetings in here. Everybody's going down to Buddy Brew. Yeah. Buddy Brew is a place to go. The thing to do. Where did that name come from?
So Buddy was our dog of 16 years. He was a lab golden retriever mix, and just such a love of our lives. So we kind of named it after Buddy for fun initially when it was still a hobby, but then the name stuck because we really love what Buddy represents, which is loyalty and friendship, and that's what we're trying to do, is pass that on to our customers.
When this grows all over the country, Buddy is going to be immortalized.
That's right.
The dog will be immortalized because of Buddy Brew.
That's right.
We've got about 30 seconds left. Any plans for expansion? I know you're in Oxford Exchange. When are you coming downtown?
Maybe soon.
There we go. Now we're talking. Just got a scoop.
Out by the Rays Stadium downtown.
Cheers to that one. All right, we'll be right back. That was good news. I like that. All right, we'll see. Jack, we are back at Buddy Brew, but now we are in the portion of the building that's being expanded. We are here with one of the co-owners, Dave Ward. You just met his wife, Susan, his much better half, far more attractive and much smarter.
Thanks, Mayor.
I live in a house full of women, Dave. Believe me, I'm all about paying homage to the smarter species. And we're also here with James Burley, who helped design what I think is going to be some pretty amazing space.
Yeah, the first thing is you all were very fortunate. It's almost like the good Lord intervened and said, we want to expand Buddy Brew, given the things that happened to the businesses that were here. Isn't that right, Dave?
Oh my gosh. This is a business of miracles, and so I can't even count all the things that had to fall into place to get us here. So it's been an absolutely amazing ride.
What was here, Dave? I'm trying to remember. What was in this space?
There was our next door neighbor, Company Man, which is like a video production, branding, marketing company, was here, and they took the building next door. And then Clayton Gray, who's across the street now, they had the whole upstairs. And so they both actually moved into their own spaces, which allowed us to kind of grab the entire building.
And just lucked out at a time when you're trying to expand.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, we had obviously told the landlord if it ever happened, we'd be very interested. So it happened, and we kept pushing and pushing, and so, yeah.
You know, I was sharing with your wife, I used to own a house right down the street, all through the 80s and through most of the 90s. And the parade of sites on Kennedy Boulevard, back during that time, you could buy pretty much anything you wanted.
I bet.
Anything that you wanted, from drugs on down. It was a circus.
Or up.
It was a circus, and to see what has become of Kennedy Boulevard, I mean, with all the landscaping improvements, you know, the streetscapes, the new retail that's going in, this is becoming a very walkable extension of downtown Tampa, and it is really, really exciting. And I love the way you opened it up so the natural light is in here. I mean, this will become a gathering point, as your other store was, for people to just come and hang out. I almost feel compelled to get tattoos.
There are plenty of those here, that's for sure.
I've noticed that, yeah.
That is for sure. Yeah, when we first actually opened next door, it was still pretty edgy, you know, and you know, a lot of bars on the windows still, and you know, but it's been constantly improving.
Very quick turnaround. It really has. I think UT's expansion has had a lot to do with it.
There's been a lot of great things that have really helped improve our little run of Kennedy here. So it's been fantastic.
In reality, I can easily see this being in, you know, you go to Buddy Brew in San Francisco or Buddy Brew in Minneapolis or Buddy Brew wherever. I mean, I'm sure in the back of your mind that's got to be something you think about from time to time.
Well, right now my wife is cringing because she knows what I'm about to say, but world coffee domination in a kind, gentle, friendly way. That's our goal.
World Cup.
I thought I was ambitious.
I thought I was just Minnesota and San Francisco, but how about Outer Mongolia?
Well, I tell you, all joking aside, our goal has never been to be a mom and pop. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we always have wanted to play on the national scene in specialty coffee. And so this is just the beginning.
That's great. Well, James, tell us what we got here. I mean, you're the guy in here knocking walls down.
Yeah. I was just thinking, as I've listened to these interviews, it's so fascinating because one of the challenges was Buddy Brew is a dynamic, young, new, growing company, and so kind of as we've figured out, and I say we, I won't even start to name the number of artisans and designers that have been a part of this team. But as we figure out the look of Buddy Brew, we're also learning what the brand of Buddy Brew is, and it's one part, we're on an edgy part, a historically edgy part of Kennedy, and part of it is we're also on the edge of a Hyde Park, living room type, subdivision. One part is we've got the artist crowd here, there's and then we have the political business environment that loves it. So it's a really interesting mix of a lot of different folks, and the question becomes, how do we make everybody walk in and go, this is the Buddy Brew we love, and this is the place we want to be, and even though we're all different, there's something here that's bringing us all together, and this is our spot.
Well, I mean, it starts with great coffee. I mean, that's the reason people come in here. I mean, it's nice to hang out with folks, but really it's the coffee. But just so you know, James and his company are the ones that did Oxford Exchange, so it's you really are starting to make your mark in Tampa, and we're looking forward to more great things out of you.
In trendy places, for sure. Well, that's one of the great things about this, and looking at this, and I don't know how you duplicate it around the country, but it's not too slick, and that's what I like about it. You get tired of slick places you go in, and they all one looks the same as the other, and this doesn't. It has like a little history going for it, a little
industrial look to it. So what's next for you guys?
What's next? Well, there's a lot happening I will be in St. Pete soon. I think
we won't hold out against you.
That's
great.
Well,
but sorry, that's probably a bad comment. But I missed crowd anyway.
No, don't worry, we'll have their baseball team, so we'll swap.
Great.
Yeah, we'd love to be downtown. We're actually working on a deal with MacDill Air Force Base.
That's great.
Yeah, and so there's a lot going on.
Boy,
a lot going on. We're really excited.
Get on MacDill. That'd be terrific.
We talked a little bit about this before, how the whole foodie culture has emerged here. And it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, it's the food trucks. I mean, Tampa's the second best place in America to start a food truck. It's the craft beer guys.
Yeah.
It's the restaurants, both brick and mortar and the mobile. And it's coffee. I mean, we've become a destination like, other cutting-edge cities for creative class.
I saw a national list of what makes this place special. They named all sorts of them. It was one of those TripAdvisor or something like that. I don't know what it was, but one of the things they mentioned was people are coming here now for the craft breweries and the food and the coffee, which is amazing that we've become that kind of destination so quickly.
All right, come on out to Buddy Brew. We got to get to the next segment right here on Kennedy Boulevard. What's the address, Dave?
2020 West Kennedy Boulevard.
2020 West Kennedy Boulevard, intersection of Albany and Kennedy. Come out and have some great coffee. We'll be right back.
We'll show you how to make it.
Yeah, we're going to teach you how to make it, so stay with us. Dak, we're back having another great cup of Buddy Brew coffee. I will be awake for the next 3 days. Something new and different.
I do decaf, though, so it doesn't keep you awake.
But we're here with Ty Bedingfield, who is the barista, by training.
Absolutely.
So tell us what that is.
So it's really bartender and Italian.
Okay.
So the espresso bar is really the core part of a bar in Italy. So it really grows out of that tradition. So the machine is the center of the technology, but really the service. Espresso specifically isn't about speed, but it's really a reference to I'm making a drink expressly for you, or for you, or for you.
Espresso comes. I thought espresso was like it raced your heart or something like that.
Yeah.
But it has to do with being expressly made for a
it's
specific
directly
person.
connected to the service.
We've learned a lot about the word barista in just this first minute here with him.
The people are going to think we're cool when we start throwing these words around.
I know. I can't wait to tell people.
We're like hip.
I haven't seen it.
You got a purple shirt on. You got to be hip.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's really that sense of that detail in the craft. It goes all the way from the product to that service. So you're really looking, even like today we're going to make a few coffees, and it's really about attention to detail and that precision.
And take us from the beginning to the end. The beans, you grind them, Every bean has a different flavor to it.
Today we're going to make the Peruvian Cajamarca, and that's a coffee here that we're featuring. We source these coffees from very specific places. We typically don't blend the coffees to maintain all that unique character, that terroir, that where that specifically comes from. So that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for that character, and then we preserve that.
Where did you learn the craft so well? I mean, you know everything about it. It sounds like you've had a little history, a little science, and all of these in coffee making.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working in the coffee business for over 20 years.
Really?
I'm somewhere over 1 million shots of espresso.
Wow.
So,
Was that half a million
just by statistics, it's going to soak into me.
How did you start in?
Hit the McDonald's drive-thru?
Actually, a friend of mine, it was an entrepreneurial effort. We liked the coffee house industry. We liked the social aspect of it, and we opened a coffee house. So I started 20 years ago.
Wow.
Before Starbucks, in fact.
So what's your favorite blend? Favorite country of origin and favorite blend?
I would say probably Central American tends to be my favorite, and then my specific favorite is always moving. We're literally going to make my favorite today.
Okay.
So the Peruvian Cajamarca is really my favorite coffee that we're serving right now. I'm gonna get the mayor to help me make. We're going to make 2 Chemexes.
I'll put you over here as the assistant scientist.
So you're going to be my assistant, and this is really just going to follow all the great principles of coffee making, which is grinding fresh. First of all, using great beans, grinding fresh. If you want to dump that into the top of that one.
Okay.
And that's just
smell that,
the
Jack.
filter. Oh wow, that's good, strong.
Yeah.
This is a Chemex. It's the method is really defined by the paper. It's really dense. It's going to give us a really smooth, clean cup of coffee. And I'll do one with you here.
Okay.
So we're both going to get a pot of water. Again, another principle is really hot water. This is fresh filtered water. I don't know if you drink much Tampa water, but you know, we got a lot of hard water, so we need a lot of filtration to make a really clean taste to this.
You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say
that's natural.
Tampa
That's natural.
water is the best water you've ever tasted.
That's natural.
Because
right
I
out
can't
of the
turn
aquifer.
your water off.
No, that is true. That's going to be your pot. What we're going to do is just saturate that coffee first. So when you just pour slowly and wet that first part of the grounds and not actually try to brew it, and then stop just there.
With fine Tampa water.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
And how
Tampa
come
water.
his is dripping out and yours is not?
It's his first time.
Okay. He doesn't know what he's doing, in other words.
Man, you are looking for trouble.
What we're looking to do here is actually saturate the coffee first. So we're letting the gases release out of that coffee so we can actually brew deeper into it. And now at this point, we're going to slowly start pouring the coffee. And now you can just kind of move the water in concentric circles and continue to saturate it and let it rise up the filter about 3/4 of the way.
Well, no wonder.
And we're trying to do this really slow over about 1 minute, 2 minutes. And then I'm also additionally looking at the weight, and I'm going to stop probably about 350 grams of water. So you can just pour it right till you see that 350.
Is there a 350 on that
coming up.
jug? Oh, I see, down there.
Yeah, so I set this weight right there. And now once we're there, what we've done is we've fully saturated the coffee. We've put the correct amount of water to coffee ratio, and this is going to do all the work for us. It's going to brew out, and then we'll have 2 fresh cups of coffee.
That makes
Perfectly brewed.
As I look at this, I wonder who it was. I mean, historically, how did somebody come to the idea, well, we'll do it for 35, whatever, do this 10 seconds,
We're tasting
whatever,
this and testing it all the time. This method is actually the only method that's in the MoMA. So this is a beautiful artistic
That was another one.
design.
It's in the what?
Yeah, in the MoMA. It's a museum of design.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
New York City, it's north of here.
Okay.
So
We're learning all kinds of things.
Well, we are. We're getting an education today.
And again, this is the coffee that we're going to try right here, which is the Peruvian Cajamarca. And that's a coffee that you can get here at Buddy Brew. So in our new location, our love location. And then, of course, you can always get that online, buddybrew.com. You can order that.
All
I
right.
don't know if it's what was in here, but this is great stuff.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I'm still enjoying it.
We're going to have another cup here in a moment.
This is why this takes a while.
It takes a while. This is a 3 or 4 minute cup of coffee. So we actually refer to this as our slow bar. So we have our grab and go coffee, we have our espresso, and then you actually come to the slow bar and get a hand roasted, handcrafted brewed cup of coffee.
Serious coffee.
Yeah,
All right, Ty, thanks.
absolutely. Appreciate
We're going
having
to
me
drink
out.
some more coffee with some great Tampa water, and we will be back with a great video. And come on down to Buddy Brew and get some what's this?
Cajamarca?
That
Peru.
from Peru.
They sure make this water, this Tampa water, taste good.
This Tampa water
Well,
is
it's, you know,
just
it's a little flavor added to the Tampa water.
absolutely good flavor.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
Long before there was roast coffee in Tampa, the Native Americans got their caffeine from a local plant, Yaupon holly, and it's called Cassina, or the black drink. And I think the Latin name is Ilex vomitoria. And you would roast the berries from the holly tree, crush them up, and pour boiling water over, so you had a tea-like substance. But it is a super caffeine and would cause you to purge. But you would have super energy, often for days following this. We'll never know when the first cup of coffee was consumed in Tampa. Almost certainly it was at Fort Brooke. Probably a very bad cup of coffee, to say the least. Coffee would have been very scarce here. I mean, just imagine having to import bags of coffee from major cities, probably a Pensacola, getting down here. Coffee during the Civil War, when Tampa was blockaded, people were using a variety of substitutes. They were using chicory, sometimes burned parched corn as a substitute. Coffee would have been very precious. And by the late 19th century, when Tampa is growing, you had a few roasters for the Anglo community. I know there was a Wilson's Coffee that delivered coffee by horse and wagon. The real coffee explosion in Tampa is with the coming of the Latins in Ybor City. Coffee was one of the reasons confirming your ideals of America. The most astonishing thing about America was not that you could eat meat once a day, which they weren't eating in Sicily or Spain, but you could drink as much coffee as you wanted. I mean, coffee was something in Sicily or these small villages in Spain you might drink at Easter or Christmas. It was precious, expensive. Hence, poor people don't drink coffee, poor people immigrate, and they come to Tampa, and coffee is relatively cheap here. The beans are not far away, because Tampa was a major port. So ships came in all the time from Havana. So you go from Brazil to Havana or Bogota to Havana. Coffee in Ybor City was an institution. To give you an idea, when we go to Ybor City, I would often show my students this mural of a scene of an Ybor City factory, 1920. You've got all the arrangements. The desk is not much larger than this table. So you have your tobacco leaves, you have your chaveta, the tobacco knife. There might be a photograph of your wife there. And then there's a cup of coffee. And it makes sense if you think about it. To outsiders, it must have been frivolous. Industrial workers drinking coffee on the job. But you were paid piecemeal. How many cigars you made, or how many cigars you rolled or filled. Thus, if management thought coffee is going to make you a more productive worker, and it's on your dime anyway. So what they would do is they would hire someone, almost always a Cuban, called El Cafetero. He would be the person bringing the coffee, and they would bring it a number of times a day, huge cauldrons of hot Cuban coffee and hot milk blended together. The cafetero was as part of Ybor City as chavetero, the guy who sharpened the cigar knives, as the lector, the person who read to the cigar workers.
I came up with a process of actually painting with coffee, tobacco, tea, beer, wine, etc. When I select a painting to do, I'll select as many of those products that will relate to the image. This is my mother's coffee strainer. These were handmade years ago. You can't get them this fashion anymore. The ones they make today are kind of smaller and whatever, but these were handmade and they're better. And this is their coffee stand that used to be chrome. They do not make it in this fashion like this anymore. They make it with other materials. And this is their coffee pot that's porcelain. If you hit it hard enough, it chips. So as you can see, it's in this original painting that her coffee stand and strainer and pot is at. And this is, like I said, an original painting. And this is the brand that she used, Naviera. So to relate to this image, that's all I needed to use is this product and water processed into a substance as thick as molasses or thicker. It will be this dark. I paint on canvas. Then I have a very special sealer that I apply to protect it. Then what hangs here is what I mixed and processed that relates to the image. Cuban coffees are our traditional drink here. You had your, like this here, which would have a long glass, and that would be half and half. In those days, that was real cream and coffee. And the Cuban bread was maybe cut about probably 12 inches long and then made in 4 slices. And you put the real butter on it, and then you would dunk it. When I became an artist, I just started because I remember all these historical landmark places, and this is a historical landmark district. So I'm in love with the Ybor City Light and all of the old buildings that they've kept. That's what I like to paint. What I remember when I was walking down Ybor City with my parents, I remember smelling the actual cooking of all the restaurants. Also, they made where the coffee is roasted, it's got a big chimney, so it has to have a downdraft so you can actually smell it anymore. I miss that. That's part of the charisma of Ybor City.
4th of July Cafe actually started here in Tampa in 1905, and through the year, it's always been in this neighborhood. West Tampa has grown a lot. And the neighborhood is wonderful. It's a mix of everything. We have everything in the neighborhood, and we love it. And that's why we stay here. The way we make the coffee, which is pretty much unique here in Tampa, I think we're the only one that still make it that way. Cuban bread goes hand in hand. It used to be a cheap breakfast, you know, in the old days when money was tight. It was something that it was cheap and easy to make, and actually it will go quick in your system so you can work without being too full. Café con leche is a mix of Cuban coffee and milk, and that's, I think, it's something that normally goes well in the morning, and I should give you a startup, you know, to keep going through the day.
Welcome back to another segment of the Mayor's Hour where we celebrate the expanding, growing, burgeoning coffee business here in the city of Tampa. We've got our food trucks, Jack. We've got our craft brewers. We have an emerging foodie scene, and we also have a number of coffee roasters and coffee brewers and some really cool retail coffee shops. We are here with Rafael and Sarah, who are the owners of Kahwa Coffee. We are in downtown Tampa.
And I got a cup of coffee.
And Jack has another cup of coffee. So Rafael and Sarah, tell us how this all got started. You guys really are starting to put Tampa on the map. Give it, you got to get permission from her to talk, right?
You go. You go.
No,
ahead,
you go. I go.
You go.
Okay, I go. We started in 2006, actually in St. Pete, and we just did wholesale for about 2 years. 2 years later, we opened the first shop in St. Pete, and then we started opening shops in Tampa. It's been a good adventure so far.
Wow. So how many stores do you have currently?
We have 6 stores, 3 in St. Pete, 3 in Tampa.
Wow.
What does Kahwa mean?
The question.
Well, Kahwa comes from the original word for coffee, and Ethiopia is originating where coffee was originated, where they figured out that you could roast it and.
I didn't know that.
And
see, we're
yeah.
learning all kinds of stuff.
So it's the Kaffa region in Ethiopia, and that became Kahwa, and it's actually used in a lot of slang. Like in France, where my husband's from, it's used for a slang. I'm gonna get a Kahwa, like a cup of Joe. They use it as a slang word for coffee, also in a lot of different languages. So that's where we came up with it.
So you brew your own coffee here? Do you buy your beans and select your beans based on different tastes, and then you actually roast them here? And I know you have a commercial side as well as the retail side.
Yes, we have a roasting facility, about 8,000 square feet, where we do all the roasting every day. The unique thing about us is we do blends, meaning we don't just roast one bean at a time. We blend beans together like wine. You kind of put different grapes together. We do the same thing on coffee. So most of our coffee is about 4 different coffees that we select from all over the world. One of them that you see was the Indian coffee, which is very unique. It's part of espresso, gives a very smooth, nice, rich taste to it. And that's what makes Kahwa to be different from everybody else.
So the blending of the coffees, I would imagine many coffee roasters are purists, that they only, they don't mix India with Costa Rica. Obviously there's a marketplace for it because you guys are doing great.
For us, the blends kind of appeal to a broader range of people. Each coffee is very subjective, to each person's taste, but to find a blend that has, some body, some sweetness, some not too much acidity, but just enough, and kind of play with the different characteristics of each single bean to kind of create a whole bean that has like a full kind of range of flavors in it. That's kind of what we like to do.
How did you all get into the coffee business? At what point did you all decide we want to make a living making coffee?
Yeah.
Make a living.
It's his fault.
It's my fault. I started about 18 years ago as a barista. So I started behind the bar, just learn how to make coffee. And then I worked in the wholesale business for the coffee company. And then I learned the roasting process. And then from there, we moved here and decided to open Kahwa Coffee. So we've been in the industry for about 18 years. We learn how to roast, we learn how to blend. Blending, like we were talking about, is, I think, an art. It's easy to take a bean and roast it by itself. And it's very difficult to take 4 different beans and roast them together because each different coffee reacts a different way to the heat, the temperature, and the time and all that.
And so how do you determine what's the appropriate taste that you're looking for? I mean, you must spend hours sampling coffee.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, like you said, it's, there's an art to creating a blend, but once you get that, it takes a long time to kind of, adjust different levels, how much of this bean, how much of that bean, and then once you find something that you like, and like I said, it's a subjective thing, but it's just something that, we decided that we wanted, works, and then it's kind of like a recipe, so you try to recreate that, consistently, which can be different. Each year the crops are different, so sometimes you have to switch some of the beans in the blends each year, but, that's kind of the process.
The blends are like the formula for Coca-Cola. They are closely held secrets, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the safe, in the safe under the bed.
Yeah. When you work all day around coffee like this, do you all drink coffee all day? I mean, I can't imagine being around this, being around the smell, being around watching it being made, not sitting like I've been since we started this show.
Yeah. Well, when you have
probably better than wine.
When you're in the warehouse, you're testing different stuff, then you have to visit all 6 cafes, so you have to try the product at each cafe. It gets a little quite caffeinated, but
you drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, we do, and also now 8 years later, we have more staff also. Right. We have people in the office that do tasting, that do try the coffee also, to help us out. We also have a regional manager that you'll meet later that does go around the cafes. So we doing our tasting, yes, but we also have people that we can depend on.
And so you have a big wholesale business too, right? Commercial business?
Yeah, very.
Is that bigger than the retail side of things? Is it? Okay.
Yes, the wholesale is bigger. We have about 450 customer wholesale in the U.S. We have 150 of them in Tampa Bay area and about 300 in the whole United States. So yeah, the wholesale is still bigger than the retail.
And do you have salespeople that go out and carry your product for you?
No, we did a different model. We actually took a distributor in every area that we do coffee.
Right.
So we go through a distributor. They have salesperson for us, and then we grow the business like that.
That's pretty exciting. Now, we spent some time with the folks at Buddy Brew and you guys. Are there any other homegrown Tampa-based roasters out there?
I mean, one of the oldest ones is Joffre's. I would say Joffre's is a big roaster in Tampa. They had a lot of retail locations. I don't think they do anymore.
Okay.
You have a couple of guys in Ybor City also.
Right, sure. Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
They've been over for a long time.
Yeah, you can smell that when you drive down 7th Avenue. You can smell the beans roasting. It really is a good smell.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep.
And I'm sure, with the same kind of like the craft beers, seeing that there'll probably be some, coming up, but there hasn't really been too much, in our area. I think Florida is kind of a lot of coffee in the coffee industry in the U.S. They don't think about Florida; they think it's too hot for coffee. But as you know, we all drink coffee here too. So, but
what's the biggest time of the day? I would think in the morning. And traditionally, it used to be you had coffee in the morning and that was it. That's not the case anymore. People have it in the morning, noon, night, all the time.
It depends on the store. Like this one, for example, 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock is the rush. The new one on South Tampa, we have a big rush in the morning. We also have a big rush in the afternoon.
Yeah, sure.
From 3 o'clock, when school is over, 3 to 5, 6. It's
a lot of moms coming through.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like which store you have, which crowd you have. We have some stores that are busy from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. They just.
There's different groups that come at different times. Kind of.
Where do you go after this? Where do you expand? I mean, what's next?
Next is number 6 coming up this year, and then we'll see. I mean, we're having fun doing it. There's a lot of excitement behind it. Every time we open a store, it gets busier, faster. So it's exciting for us too. The next one, I think, will be Carrollwood. Then we'll go West Chase, and then might go towards Sarasota and maybe the beaches over there.
Okay.
And generally, anything that gets cranked up from around here gets big. I mean, that's for sure.
That's what we heard, right?
Yeah. He's proud of that fact.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't beat this stuff. It's going to be around for a long time.
I think some of these baristas are going to teach me how to make a cup of coffee. Stay with us. Raphael and Sarah, thank you. Continued success. We're proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very proud to be here.
We love bragging about our Tampa Bay businesses, especially the ones that are doing well. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Jack, we're back. More coffee. We were at Kahwa downtown. We heard the pretty cool story of how Raphael and Sarah got this business started. It really is a Tampa success story. We're pretty proud of it. One of the reasons for their success is they're great employees. And Jessica here was voted in Creative Loafing as the best barista in the Tampa Bay area.
Now that is saying a lot.
It is. I don't even think I got the best mayor. I don't think.
In the city of Tampa?
I'm the best mayor in the city of Tampa.
In the city of Tampa. You nailed that one.
Yeah, I did. So Jess, obviously this is a skill that Jack and I don't possess. So tell us what you do. Tell us how you do what you do and how'd you become the best?
I mean, I started 15 years ago working as a little baby barista in a coffee shop and moved up from there and went into learning the different techniques of making coffee and espresso and the latte art and just started managing different places, and from there I managed multiple places into what I'm doing now, and I'm running basically all of his locations for him.
And I think to win that honor from Creative Loafing, you have to be pretty amiable. The customers have to learn to love you beyond just the coffee and everything. But at what point did you say, I want to go into the coffee business, I want to be a barista? How did that come about?
Actually, I was going to school to be an accountant, and I hated it, and I started getting into coffee and decided that was my passion and just kept with it, and I'm where I am now.
Very cool. Now, do you have to have tattoos and stuff to be a barista?
There's a few that don't.
Or any piercings? Actually, I've noticed a little bit of that around here. I'm not nearly as hip as you guys are.
I think we have maybe 2 or 3 that don't have tattoos, but it's not a requirement.
Not a requirement.
Well, they could get, we love Mayor Bob on.
I'll work on that for you.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yes, we'll have that on there pretty soon, I'm sure.
All right, so enough of the foolishness. Tell us what you got here. Tell us what these machines are. These are like torture machines.
No. Fully manual Fama E61 Legend is our espresso machines. They're in all our shops. This one has a 2-head on it, which pulls 4 shots, making 2 drinks at a time. Some of our machines have 3 heads on them.
I don't even understand.
Basically, you can make espresso shots with them. We use the steam-on, steamer milk to make the lattes, cappuccinos, macchiatos.
So show us, Get a cup of espresso going here.
Okay, okay, sounds good. So you take your portafilter, your espresso grinder.
I've seen
that. Oh yeah, I'm sleeved. It's covered.
Mayor Bob.
It goes all the way up. See, that says Mayor Bob right there.
Yeah, I thought so. That was smart woman.
It's in another
so all of our machines pull 2 shots at a time. So each shot's 7 grams, which is 1 pull. So 2 pulls make 14 grams, which is where my math comes into.
Okay.
This is a tamper, which actually is tattooed.
She's got it tattooed on her.
So you want to tamp it down to about 30 to 50 pounds of pressure.
That's what people up in Boston call this city.
Tamper. Yeah.
Tamper, yeah, there you go.
I
and then it just
thought about that.
locks right in. We'll pull, I'll do it in these 2. This pulls a single
so it's
espresso.
It's got 2
Oh
heads
yeah,
to it.
so you can pull 2 shots at the same time, yeah. So we'll make a cappuccino would go in here, or a single double shot. This we could use for a single shot espresso or a single macchiato, which is just a shot of espresso with a little dollop of foam on it. Lift the little lever, shot pulls out. You'll see there's 3 different layers of color in it. It'll go from dark to medium to a lighter layer. And 21 seconds later, about that, shot's done. And then you end up with a shot of espresso.
Wow.
The top layer is the crema. You want that golden brown layer there. That's where all the flavor is. If it's not there, the shot will just basically taste super bitter, burnt.
Now, we have a huge Cuban population here. Now, when they come into a place like this versus a coffee shop in West Tampa, is there a difference? Do they?
I mean, we get a lot of people that come in asking for cafe con leche, so that's their big drink. We'll adhere to it as much as we can. Make it the best way we can, basically just espresso, a little extra espresso, and some steamed milk, very little foam. And we'll mix the sugar in with it to kind of give it more of that the espresso and cafe con leche flavor that they're looking for.
And generally, do they like it?
Oh yeah, yeah. We get a lot of people that come in asking for it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because basically it's just a language thing. Cafe con leche is
coffee with milk.
Coffee with milk,
yeah,
exactly.
Coffee with milk.
Yep.
So what's your biggest seller here?
Lattes. We do a lot of mochas. Macchiatos, which is espresso with a little bit of foam on it. That's a big drink of ours.
And a macchiato would be served in a cup like this?
Either that cup for a single shot, or if they want a double, we'd put it in this cup.
You ever do little designs or things like that stuff on it? How do you learn to do that?
A lot of practice. A lot of practice. Our baristas go through a very extensive amount of training.
What do you use? What makes the design? Is that just milk?
It's on the milk. It's on the steaming and the pouring and.
So do they actually pour the design?
Oh yeah, it's all pre-poured.
You pour the design?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's pretty impressive. So you almost have to go to art school to learn to be a barista.
Basically,
anymore.
yeah. It's a very big art, yeah.
So what's your favorite design?
I can do Rosettas.
Can you do a picture of his?
I could
You haven't got enough room for my nose.
That's a lot of drawing into it, which is a little bit of a
that would be
cheating
something
method,
special.
You can do tulips.
Shamrocks?
I've made the shamrock actually before. That you kind of have to draw into. I can do a swan. I can make a heart, basic heart, a couple hearts.
So you do have to be artistic to even be a barista, something like that. But the machinery, when you first start as a barista, how do you get that training? I mean, because I know my experience not knowing anything about coffee, but you see these people say, do you want this, do you want that, do you want that, boom, 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 and there it comes. And it is so complex. How do you actually learn that? I mean, is it just on the job? You watch somebody?
On the job. All of our employees start as a cashier at the basic level. They learn the register. They learn the coffee. They learn all of what the drinks are, what goes in them, and then from there we take them into our training facility over at our office.
So you do have a training
Yep, I bring them in there. Basically, throw them 10 gallons of milk and say, there you go. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I go through exactly how to use the grinder, exactly what all the different parts on the machine are, how to pull the shots, how to look for a bad shot, how to look for a good shot. We go through all the different steaming, how to steam, how not to steam, and practice pouring. And it's just practice. It's in St. Pete in our office, in our warehouse.
How many people are in training at any given time?
It just depends on if we're opening a new location or if I have a new employee in one of our previous locations that needs to come in and start learning.
So when I'm done being the mayor, there's hope for me as a barista?
Yeah, definitely. Anybody can learn it. Anybody can learn it.
I got to get some tats though, right?
Yeah. You can draw them on.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, Jess, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here.
All right, stay with us. We got one segment left, and we'll be right back. And happy coffee drinking at Kahwa.
Maybe one more cup of coffee before the show's over.
Yeah.
Kahwa came into business because my grandfather on my mother's side, he started in a little garage in Ybor City in 1936. There was a lot of small roasters in the early 30s and 40s over here. A lot of people came from Cuba and Spain, and the first thing they did when the docks was start working in the cigar factory. Matter of fact, my grandfather started 1 year or two in the cigar factory, and everybody had their straight shot of espresso or café con leche with a little bit of Cuban bread. I mean, it was a tradition over here. Everybody drank Cuban coffee, everybody. My father was in the dairy business, Paedo's Dairy. My father used to be delivering milk at my mother's location, and that's how they met. My father went into the coffee business because he got tired of milking cows at 3 o'clock in the morning. So the first chance my father had, he ran away. He ran away. He got control of the coffee probably in 1958 or 59. My grandfather sold them the business for $1. They were there till the 60s. And we came over here in Drew Park area, and just one building, we started it here. And little by little, we extended the building, extended next door. My father passed away, and me and my brother took over. My son is a fireman in Hillsborough County, and hopefully he'll take over one day. We specialize in espresso coffee. And when you say Cuban coffee, espresso coffee, Italian coffee, it's basically the same thing. It's just dark coffee that's a little bit oily. That's espresso coffee. Now, if you want to go a little bit less, it's French roast. A little bit less is Vienna roast. And underneath that is American roast, which we do that in the gourmet section. We roast Costa Rican, Colombian, whatever the customer wants. We roast probably 6,000 to 7,000 pounds a day. The espresso coffee, we package it in Rico Rico, Caracolillo, Riquísimo, Son de Cuba. We handle all those products ourselves. And that all has different blends and different tastes. The coffee that we get is all Arabica. We normally get Guatemala, Brazil, a little bit of Robusta, Panama, and that's most of our blends that we do depending what brand we're doing. Arabica beans means the altitude of the coffee bean was like 3,000 feet or higher, and that means a certain good taste of that product. Anything under 3,000 feet, the coffee's no good. We're constantly getting samples of different kind of coffees, and we have a sampler roaster that we sample everything. If it doesn't come to my agreement or my brother's agreement, we don't even buy it. We don't even buy it, not even close. When it comes to it's really good aroma, good taste, smooth taste, we'll buy that lot of coffee. We have a roaster that approximately does 450 pounds every half an hour, and I'll put it in on a tank, and we leave it there overnight for it to degas. And after it degasses, my brother will grind that coffee, mix it up, depending what blend we're doing that day, and put it in one of the hoppers that we have behind us. After that, it'll sit there a day to degas again, and then we package it in the back. And then we just shrink wrap it and get ready for market. I started roasting at 12 years old by myself. I actually got at that time a Pepsi wooden carton to put underneath the roaster so I could stand up on it and roast by myself at that time. So I know how it's supposed to look exactly, even though I got a temperature control that tells me exactly what the bean is. So I'm always roasting the exact same every roast. We started a gourmet business that turned out really good. And just the gourmet business itself, after 4 or 5 years of doing it, we sell $1 million a year in revenue, just in the gourmet business. We go by ccmcoffee.com. The CCM stands for Caracolillo Coffee Mills.
Jack, another great show.
Oh yeah, this has been fun.
Yep, great coffee. Got to meet some great entrepreneurs. got to talk about some great Tampa success stories. And it's pretty exciting to see what's going on here.
Oh yeah, and these are just burgeoning businesses. I mean, they're going to explode because of the popularity of the coffee culture all across the country right now, and they're just waiting for things like this. And these two, and they're unique in their own way, just what they're offering out there. It's terrific.
Well, anytime we get to export something that says made in Tampa Bay, that's good for us.
And we found out there's a machine called a tamper.
Yeah,
so maybe we get a Tampa logo on the tampers.
There we go.
Again, the Boston pronunciation. Hey, we had the State of the City address some time ago, and I read about it in Tampa Bay Business Journal and a few other places, and they said you were on fire, that you became the hottest cheerleader. In fact, they expected pom-poms and a skirt to pop out any time.
Well, you never know if that's what it takes.
Well, I mean, obviously you love your job more than anybody I've ever known in my life. But it's kind of easy to promote, really.
It is, and you know, if I'm not in love with my city, I don't know who would be. And so for me, the opportunity to get up and tell Tampa's story, even though some people have heard me talk about this, is really exciting. It energizes me, and hopefully it energizes the crowd. And
it did.
Well,
I can tell you that talking to people who were there. They said it was unbelievable. They never heard anything quite like that. Certainly no State of the Union or State of the State or State of the City.
You know, it's an exciting time for Tampa, and we've got a great story to tell. And particularly when you're able to tell that story, and you're in a facility or in a building where people can actually look around and say, wow. You know, I've never been in here, but I see what he's talking about now, and I can see the vision. And when I look out and see the skyline, I can recognize that change is coming, and it's positive change. And that message, I think, has become contagious, and it's really spread throughout the Bay Area. And so people are focused, they're excited, they're getting deals done. There's not a lot of drama. Everyone's on the same page. And you know, for me, that's what I do.
I feel the same way, being in radio and being very proud of where I live. And you look at our natural resources here in having a river and the bay, and then we're so close in one way to the Gulf of Mexico, the beaches, and in the other direction to the theme parks and all of that kind of thing, that this place is a natural. And the rapid growth and the things that are happening when you look back to the Republican National Convention, and we're recording this right before, about a week before Bollywood occurs. By the way, I looked at the 9-day forecast. We're looking good on the weather so far. Check the 10-day forecast. I mean the 10-day forecast. I have to check it again tomorrow because then we'll be 9 days out.
We need good weather for that one.
Yeah, and I think we might be getting it. Indications are there, but
you know, Jack, think about this. Just in the next 4 months, you're going to have 2 new hotels that will open. You'll have Eulalie Springs Restaurant up in Tampa Heights that will open. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah, that whole area down there is, like you say, bursting.
We've got the park that will be finished. Over the next year and a half, you're going to have 5 new residential towers that will be coming out of the ground. 2 in Channelside, 1 down by the Straz right near this location, and 2 on Harbor Island. So, you know, that's another 2,000 residential units in downtown Tampa.
And that energizes the downtown big time. It's going to bring more businesses into the downtown.
Well, what happens is, and this coffee shop is a perfect example, when residential comes in, retail follows.
Yeah.
Because many of the customers of this Kahwa restaurant come from the building that's upstairs above us and come from the adjoining buildings. So the more residential you can drive into downtown Tampa, the more opportunities for success stories like Kahwa to come here. And that's what these young professionals want. They want to be able to walk everywhere they go. They want bars and restaurants around. They want great coffee shops. They want laundromats. They want veterinarian clinics because they walk in their dogs. They want great parks like Curtis Dixon. And we are on the verge of making that happen. It is very exciting. Don't get me going.
Looking way down the road here.
Because I'll start preaching again.
We might be looking at that big expanse of space north of the Forum, and who knows what could go into that area.
Well, before Jack gets me in any more trouble and gets me started talking about a baseball stadium, we're going to see you next month. Drink a lot of coffee. Drink Kahwa, drink Buddy Brew. Go buy from Tampa-based entrepreneurs. Eat good food. Drink craft beer. Frequent a food truck. And we're going to get this thing done. We'll see you next month.
All right, cheers.